The galaxy had seen many fleets rise and fall, but none were as feared as the 10th Armada. It was a name spoken with both pride and dread, a force of thousands of warships, each armed with weapons strong enough to crack moons. Wherever the Armada went, resistance was crushed and empires bent their knees. Now that Armada drifted at the very edge of human space. Their engines burned cold blue. Their hulls gleamed in the starlight. Thousands of ships floated together like a swarm of steel beasts. Waiting for orders. At the center of the fleet stood the flagship Zereth Prime, a massive dreadnought the size of a small city. Inside its command deck, the admirals gathered. Tall, scaled beings. Their eyes glowed in the dim light as they looked at the latest transmission. Earth's warning. The message had been short, direct, no diplomacy. Do not cross this line. One more step means war. For a moment, silence filled the chamber. Then laughter broke out. The admirals sneered. War? With us? One of them scoffed. Another slammed his claw against the table. This Earth is nothing. A young world. A weak world. Their ships are toys compared to ours. Others joined in, mocking the humans as reckless and arrogant. They threatened the 10th Armada. They do not know who we are. To them, Earth was just another primitive planet, loud, proud, but fragile. They believed humans had no real fleet, no power, and no courage to face the strongest military in the galaxy. The decision was made. They would advance. Across the fleet, engines roared. Thousands of ships shifted formation, preparing to push past the border of Sol. On every bridge, officers grinned in confidence. They believed this would be an easy show of force, a lesson to remind Earth of its place. But then, something happened. The first report came from a patrol ship on the edge of the system. Admiral, scanners detect movement. Multiple contacts near the Sol perimeter. At first, the admirals dismissed it. A few human ships, perhaps, desperate to defend their world. But as the scans became clearer, doubt spread through the command decks. Not one, not two, not a handful of ships. Dozens of dark shapes rising from the shadows of the Sol system. Silent, steady, and fast. The 10th Armada's laughter began to fade. What are we looking at? Demanded one admiral. Unknown class, no registry, no transponder codes, came the reply. Then identify them. We cannot. Their hulls reflect nothing. It's as if the void itself is moving. The command deck fell quiet. One of the younger officers whispered, "Those are human ships." The admirals turned sharply, glaring at him. But deep inside, they all knew. Earth had answered. The fleet was unlike anything the Armada had seen before. The ships were not bright or polished like other empires' vessels. They were black, so dark they seemed carved out of night itself. No lights, no signals, no sound. They glided forward like hunters in the void, patient and deadly. The admirals tried to laugh again, but this time it sounded hollow. This must be a trick, one muttered. Primitive ships painted black. Nothing more. Yet as the human fleet grew closer, tension spread through the Armada. The scanners flickered. Weapons. Systems glitched. For reasons no one could explain, the presence of those Terran ships disrupted their own technology. It was as if the humans had designed their war machines to fight in the shadows, where no sensor could fully see. The admirals gave new orders. Form the lines. Prepare weapons. Show these humans their place. Thousands of Armada ships shifted again, weapons powering up. Energy crackled across the void. The stars themselves seemed to dim in the presence of so much firepower. Still, the human ships came forward, silent, unshaken. No threats. No more warnings, only movement. On the flagship, Admiral Corval, the supreme commander of the 10th Armada, felt an unfamiliar emotion. Something he had not felt in decades of battle. Doubt? He looked at the human fleet again and again, his scaled fingers tightening on the railing. Why do they not signal? Why do they not beg for peace? No one had an answer. Instead, the humans, advanced with perfect calm, their black hulls swallowing the light, their engines barely whispering. Each ship looked like a shadow, but the threat they carried was undeniable. One thought spread across the alien fleet like wildfire. The humans were not bluffing. The officers who had mocked Earth now stood frozen. The admirals who had laughed now struggled to breathe. The armada that had never feared anyone began to feel the weight of silence pressing against them. The border of Sol had become something else, a line of death, and the 10th Armada had just stepped across it. The 10th Armada had always been the predator, but now, for the first time, they felt like prey. The human fleet did not rush. It did not boast. It did not even send a single signal. Instead, the dark ships drifted closer, silent hunters gliding through the void. On the bridges of the Armada, tension thickened. Officers whispered in hushed tones. Clawed hands moved nervously over controls. The scanners flickered again and again, unable to lock onto the strange Terran ships. This is impossible, one technician muttered. Our scanners are the most advanced in the galaxy. Then why can't they read those ships? An admiral barked. No one answered. The humans had built something different, something the Armada had not prepared for. The dark hulls bent light and swallowed signals. Even when alien eyes looked through viewports, the human ships seemed to blur into the stars, like shadows that refused to be caught. The Armada tried to act confident. Commanders shouted orders, forcing their crews to tighten formations. Warships, the size of mountains, moved into neat lines, weapons glowing. But deep inside, doubt gnawed at them. The silence of the humans was worse than any threat. No taunts, no warnings. Only movement. Admiral Corval, Supreme Commander, stood tall at the center of his flagship, but his chest felt heavy. He had crushed dozens of civilizations before. He had fought rebels, pirates, and rival empires. Always. Enemies screamed or begged when the Armada appeared. Always fear was clear. But these humans? They said nothing. They moved like they had already decided the Armada's fate. A patrol ship, one of the smaller cruisers on the edge of the fleet, was ordered forward. Its captain, eager to prove his courage, flew straight toward the Terran formation. The bridge. Crew watched on their displays as the patrol ship approached the nearest human vessel. Then it vanished. One moment, the ship was there. The next, it was gone. No explosion, no debris, just gone. Gasps filled the command decks of the Armada. Technicians slammed keys, trying to find the missing cruiser. Nothing. No trace. What happened? Corval demanded. Unknown, Admiral. We cannot locate them. It's as if the ship was erased. Panic rippled through the ranks. Some officers suggested the cruiser had suffered engine failure. Others whispered about human trickery, new weapons no one had ever seen before. The truth was simple and terrifying. A single Terran ship had destroyed them in silence. The Armada commanders refused to admit it. They barked new orders, pushing. More patrols forward. 2 ships advanced together this time, their weapons charged, their shields raised to full. They, too, disappeared. Now the fear could not be denied. Corval's claws dug into the railing. His voice shook with anger, but underneath, with fear. They are attacking us without firing. What technology is this? Still the Terran ships came forward. Not fast, not reckless, calm, patient, like hunters circling their prey. Whispers spread through the chaw. Armada, the humans are deathworlders. They were raised in storms and fire. They will not stop. The fleet that had once mocked Earth now trembled. Admiral Corval slammed a fist against the command table. Enough of this game. Prepare the lines. All forward ships attack. Thousands of alien vessels armed their weapons at once. Energy surged through the void, turning the darkness bright. The power of the Armada was unmatched, so great that entire planets had surrendered at the mere sight of it. Yet, as the alien weapons charged, the human ships did not move. They did not retreat. They did not respond. They simply waited. It was. Then the Armada realized something chilling. The humans were letting them strike first. On every bridge, alien hearts pounded. The silence pressed heavier than the void itself. Finally, one officer dared to whisper what everyone feared. We should retreat. But retreat was impossible. The 10th Armada had advanced too far. To retreat now would show weakness. To retreat now would break the legend of their power. So the order was given. Fire. Across the void, thousands of alien cannons blazed. Bolts of plasma and beams of light streaked through the blackness, crashing toward the Terran ships. Void lit up in fury, a storm of fire meant to shatter worlds. And still, the human ships waited. The alien barrage struck, only to vanish into empty space. The Terran ships were gone. Gasps filled the Armada. The scanners spun wildly, trying to locate targets. Human ships flickered in and out of detection, sometimes ahead, sometimes behind, sometimes above. They moved faster than expected, cloaked in shadows, slipping through every scan like ghosts. Then, one by one, alien ships began to go dark, not in fire, not in explosions. Simply gone, systems failing, hulls cracking silently before vanishing. From the Armada's view, the admirals felt their blood run cold. This was not war. This was the hunt. The Armada had come to mock Earth. Now they realized Earth was not mocking back. Earth was already killing them. The void was alive with fire. Thousands of weapons from the 10th Armada had lit the darkness, beams and missiles cutting across the stars. But when the storm ended, not a single Terran ship had been destroyed. Instead, the human fleet seemed to melt through the barrage. Some vanished before impact, their black hulls sliding between shots with impossible precision. Others shimmered as weapons passed straight through them, like light through smoke. On the command deck of the Zereth Prime, silence fell. Admirals stared at the screens, unable to believe what they saw. This cannot be real, one muttered. They should be ashes. Another slammed his claws against the console. Our weapons did nothing. Nothing. The humans, however, made no sound. No broadcast. No message. Only movement. Slowly, one Terran ship glided forward from the formation. It was larger than the rest, its hull black as midnight, its outline jagged and unnatural. It carried no markings, no name, no symbol, only silence. The alien scanners tried to read it, but the data returned empty. To the Armada, it was like staring at a hole in reality itself. On the bridge of the Zereth Prime, Admiral Corval's voice broke the silence. They want to answer us. Across the alien fleet, thousands of eyes fixed on the lone Terran vessel. Then it happened. A single flash. No roar. No thunder. Just a narrow beam of light, thin as a blade. It sliced across the void, so fast the eye barely caught it. The beam struck one of the Armada's battleships, an enormous vessel, larger than a human city, armored in the strongest alloys of the galaxy. The beam passed clean through it. For a heartbeat, the ship hung in space, untouched. Then it broke. Apart. The bow slid away from the stern. Fire blossomed from its core. In seconds, the mighty battleship was nothing but burning fragments drifting into the void. Gasps and screams erupted across the Armada. Thousands of alien officers froze at their stations, eyes wide with terror. "One shot," a commander whispered. They destroyed it with one shot. The Terran ship did not celebrate. It did not gloat. It simply turned, its dark hull glowing faintly from the energy release. And then it drifted back into formation. The silence was unbearable. On the Zirith Prime, officers shouted in panic. "They have weapons beyond our understanding." That beam, it cut through shields and armor as if they weren't there. This is impossible. No empire has ever built such power. But the evidence burned in the void. One Armada battleship was gone. Thousands of lives ended in a blink. Admiral Corval clenched his claws so hard his palms bled. Rage burned in his chest, but even stronger was fear. For the first time, he knew the truth. Earth's warning had not been empty. It had been a promise. The Armada tried to restore order. Commands flew across the fleet. Spread formations. Target their largest ships. Fire again, this time with everything. We have. But deep inside, morale was broken. The crews who had laughed at Earth now trembled. The admirals who had mocked humanity now felt doubt. The legends of the Armada's invincibility shattered with that single beam of light. The humans, meanwhile, did not move quickly. They advanced slowly, deliberately, like predators savoring the fear of their prey. Then a second Terran ship moved forward. Its hull shimmered as it turned, revealing hidden ports along its sides. The Armada braced for another beam, but instead, a storm of small projectiles erupted. It looked primitive. Bullets, metal slugs, hurled at impossible speed. The aliens sneered at first. Kinetic weapons? Crude. But then the projectiles struck. Dozens of Armada cruisers lit up as the slugs tore through shields and armor as if they were paper. Explosions bloomed across their hulls. Ships cracked apart. In seconds, another 3 vessels were destroyed. The laughter of the Armada was gone. "This is not possible," an admiral whispered. "They are using ancient technology, metal projectiles, and yet it is stronger than our energy shields." The humans had revealed their truth. While other empires had trusted beams and plasma, Earth had mastered the oldest, deadliest weapon of all. Raw force. Guided by precision, the Armada, once mighty and proud, now understood the horror of facing a death world. Every Terran ship was a predator. Every shot was a kill. Admiral Corval's voice trembled as he spoke to his officers. "They warned us. We did not listen. Now we face the cost." Across the Armada, panic spread. Some captains shouted for retreat. Others prepared desperate charges. But none could hide the truth. The first strike had been made. The galaxy's strongest fleet had just learned the meaning of Earth's silence. And this was only the beginning. The first Terran strike had shattered the Armada's pride. A battleship gone in one shot. 3 more cruisers torn apart by weapons. The aliens had mocked as primitive. Fear spread across the fleet like wildfire. But fear alone could not stop the Armada. It was still the largest war machine in the myth. Galaxy thousands of ships strong, armed with weapons that had destroyed empires. The admirals refused to believe they could lose. And so they gave the order. All ships attack. The void lit up as the Armada unleashed its full fury. Beams of plasma cut across the stars. Missiles streaked through the dark like burning. Spears, energy storms exploded outward, designed to swallow fleets whole. The combined firepower of 10,000 warships surged toward the Terran line. This was no warning shot. This was the wrath of the 10th Armada. On the bridge of the Zirith Prime, Admiral Corval bared his teeth. "Let us see how long their shadows can hide now." The galaxy itself seemed to shake under the storm. Stars were drowned in light. Space turned into fire. It was a display of power meant to erase worlds. But when the light faded, the humans were still there. Their fleet had split apart at the last moment, sliding between the waves of destruction with impossible precision. Some vanished into cloaks of shadow. Others bent the incoming fire away with strange distortions in space. A few had taken hits, but their black hulls absorbed the energy. Like stone against rain dot, and the humans struck back. From the void, Terran ships fired beams sharper than blades. Alien shields shattered. Hulls broke. Cruisers split in half before. Their crews could even scream. Other human vessels launched swarms of projectiles, thousands of glowing slugs ripping through formations. Each slug tore through multiple ships in one line, as if the Armada's war machines were made of paper. Explosions lit the darkness. The Armada, once a wall of steel, began to fracture. "Impossible," one alien commander cried. "We cannot. Hold them, our ships are falling too fast." Another shouted. But the admirals demanded they keep fighting. The 10th Armada does not retreat. Press forward. And so they did. Alien fighters swarmed out tens of thousands of small craft, buzzing like insects, each carrying missiles and plasma weapons. They dived at the Terran ships in desperation. The humans answered with silence. From the flanks, hidden compartments opened on the black hulls. Drones, small, angular, and fast burst into the void. They moved with machine precision, intercepting fighters before they came close. Each drone fired beams of pure light, slicing enemy craft into fragments. Within minutes, the fighter wave was gone. The Armada commanders watched in horror. Their numbers still dwarfed the Terran fleet, yet in every clash, humans killed 10 for every one of their own. Admiral Corval felt his claws tremble. This is not war. This is slaughter. Still, the Armada fought. Dreadnoughts, the size of cities, moved forward, their supercannons charging. Each cannon carried enough power to shatter moons. The Terrans did not run. Instead, one human ship broke formation, a massive vessel larger than the rest. Its black hull opened, revealing a glowing core of energy, swirling with white-blue light. The alien dreadnought fired first. A beam of unimaginable power tore across the void. It struck the Terran vessel directly. For a moment, it seemed victory was theirs. The human ship disappeared in a blinding flash. The Armada cheered, but as the light faded, their cheers died. Terran vessel was still there. Its hull smoked, scarred, but still whole. And then it answered. The glowing core pulsed once, twice, then it fired. Not a beam, not a slug, but a storm. A wave of white-blue energy swept across space like a tidal surge. It tore through the dreadnought and the ships around it. Metal melted. Shields cracked like glass. Entire formations vanished in the blink of an eye. When the light faded, dozens of Armada ships were gone. Only drifting wreckage remained. Across the alien fleet, panic turned to despair. The dreadnought is destroyed. They cannot be stopped. We are fighting Deathworlders. We were fools to come here. Admiral Corval slammed his fist against the console. His voice shook as he barked orders. Do not break. Do not retreat. We are the 10th Armada. We cannot fall to one planet. But, even as he spoke, he knew the truth. The Armada was breaking. The Terrans pressed forward, black shadows among the fire. Their every strike was precise, merciless. Alien ships tried to run, only to be cut down from behind. Entire squadrons vanished in silence. The battle had turned into a hunt, and the hunters were human at last. Corval, second in command, whispered the words the Admiral feared most. We are losing. Nothing we do matters. They see everything. They know every move before we make it. Corval stared at the burning wreckage of his fleet. For the first time in his life, he did not feel anger. He felt dread. The humans had warned them. And now they were keeping their promise. The battle of soul was not just a clash of fleets. It was the death of the 10th Armada. And deep inside, the galaxy would soon hear the truth. Earth was not weak. Earth was final. The 10th Armada had never known fear before. They were the largest force in the galaxy. They had crushed empires, burned rebel colonies, and silenced whole civilizations that stood against them. But now, for the first time, silence filled their fleet. Not the proud silence of warriors, but the cold silence of fear. From the edge of the Sol system, the human warships had advanced in perfect formation. Black steel, no banners, no songs, only the heavy shadow of death. Their engines glowed, dim, their weapons locked but quiet. They did not boast. They did not threaten. They simply moved closer. Admiral Kareth of the 10th Armada tried to hold his officers together. "Remember who we are," he shouted across the command bridge. "We are the Armada. No primitive Deathworlders can stand against us. Their numbers are nothing compared to our power." But even as he spoke, his crew watched the scanners. The human warships were spreading out. Dozens became hundreds. Their hulls carried strange markings, unfamiliar codes. Some looked old, older than the Armada itself. The humans were not just showing ships. They were showing history. Ships from different ages, different designs, all upgraded, all alive with power. It was as if Earth had been preparing for this day for centuries. The Armada tried to act first. Cruisers armed with plasma lances moved into attack position. The order was simple: destroy the humans before they could close the distance. Dozens of alien ships fired together. Beams of plasma lit up the dark. Explosions bloomed against the void. For a moment, the commanders cheered. "The humans are burning," they cried, but then the smoke cleared. The human ships were still there. Their shields had absorbed the attack. Some had not even activated shields. They had taken the hits directly, and the damage was nothing. The alien weapons, feared across the galaxy, were useless against Terran armor. "Impossible," one alien captain whispered. "Their hulls should be gone." A voice echoed across every alien comm channel. A human voice, calm, cold. "You were warned." Then the sky burned. The first wave of Terran fire was unlike anything the Armada had ever seen. Rail cannons spat slugs faster than light. Beams of white energy tore through entire lines of alien ships in seconds. Torpedoes, silent and invisible, detonated inside enemy hulls, splitting them apart like paper. The Armada screamed dot in the first minute. 20 alien battleships were destroyed. In the next, 100 more. Panic spread like wildfire. The mighty 10th Armada, the fleet that had never been defeated, was crumbling. Some ships tried to flee. Their engines lit, rushing toward the border stars. But the humans were ready. From the shadows, hidden Terran ships uncloaked and cut them down. Escape was not allowed. Others fought harder, sending wave after wave of fire toward Earth's fleet. But it was no use. The humans fought with precision, with silence, with fury. They did not waste shots. Every strike was a kill. The aliens realized. Too late. This was not a battle. This was an execution. On his command ship, Admiral Kareth watched as his fleet turned into wreckage. Flames filled his screens. Distress calls screamed through the comms. He gripped his chair, shaking with rage. "No, this cannot be. We are the Armada." But deep inside, he knew. The humans had been underestimated. The weak world they mocked had become their doom. Kareth looked at the last image on his scanner rows upon rows of Terran warships, advancing without pause. And in that moment, the Admiral of the 10th Armada understood the truth. Earth had never been bluffing. They had promised annihilation. And now they were delivering it. The first battle between Earth and the 10th Armada began with silence. For a few heartbeats, the two fleets floated in the void, the cold stars watching. Then the void lit up. Human warships fired first. Not warning shots, not half measures. The black hole ships unleashed weapons the aliens had never seen, streams of white plasma, magnetic rails hurling slugs at near light speed, and beams that cut through shields as if they were paper. The first alien battleship shattered before it could even raise full defenses. One moment it stood proud in the fleet formation. The next it was torn apart in a blinding flash. Thousands of alien lives ended in silence, their screams never reaching space. The Armada panicked. Counterfire. Their commanders roared. Missiles, plasma lances, and energy bolts poured toward the Terran fleet. But Earth's warships moved like predators, shifting positions, vanishing behind cloaked fields, and reappearing at perfect angles. Alien weapons missed, scattered, or splashed against shields that glowed but did not break. The humans had studied the Armada. They knew their weaknesses. Every strike was precise, targeting command ships, shield generators, and ammunition carriers. Within minutes, 6 more alien warships fell. The Armada, once mocking, now felt fear for the first time in centuries. In the command bridge of the Armada's flagship, Admiral Corith clenched his claws. This is impossible. How can primitives wield such power? His officers gave no answer, only fear in their eyes. Then the humans sent a new signal across the void, a short transmission. Only 3 words. We warned you. The alien commanders felt their blood run cold. The words were not shouted. They were calm, almost quiet. But that made them heavier, more terrifying. It was the voice of an enemy who did not need to prove themselves anymore. The Armada tried to regroup, forming tighter defenses. But Earth's warships pressed harder, their black holes cutting through alien lines like hunters in the dark. Every explosion became a message. Every destroyed battleship was a reminder. The humans had promised war, and now they were delivering it without hesitation. The galaxy had always believed Earth was weak, untested, fragile. But now, as the wreckage of the Armada began to burn across the stars, that illusion was shattered. Admiral Corith finally whispered, "We should have listened." But by then, the humans were already preparing their next strike, and the Armada understood this was only the beginning.